For years, the name Novo Nordisk was basically a synonymous for unstoppable growth. I mean, they were fueled by these revolutionary weight loss drugs, Ozempic and Wegovy. They were the absolute kings of a multi-billion-dollar market that they pretty much created themselves. But now, well, now that kingdom is facing a massive crisis. So the big question we're tackling today is simple. For an investor, is this a company on the brink of collapse, or is this the opportunity of a lifetime? Let's break it down.
I mean, just look at this number, negative 41%. In a single year, the company's stock has absolutely cratered. Now, this isn't some minor correction. This is a brutal collapse that's just wiped out billions and billions in shareholder value. For a company that once seemed totally invincible, a drop this big is a huge, glaring red flag that something is seriously wrong. And that leads us right to the heart of this whole explainer. How on earth did this happen? How did the pharma giant behind some of the most famous, most talked about drugs on the entire planet find itself in such a tough spot? To really get what's going on, we have to first understand the powerhouse drugs that made them so successful in the first place.
All right, so first things first, what does Novo Nordisk actually do? Well, at its core, it's all about one revolutionary class of drugs that completely changed the game.
You see, the engine of their success is this thing called GLP-1 therapy. Now, to put it simply, these drugs basically mimic a hormone that's already in your gut. What this does is it helps control blood sugar for folks with diabetes, and, this is the crucial part, it triggers a feeling of fullness that leads to really significant weight loss. The brand names, Ozempic, Wegovy, Rybelsus, they're household names now, and for a good reason. They work incredibly well. And this chart, wow, it just shows you how dramatically these drugs completely transformed the company. I mean, Novo Nordisk got its start as an insulin company, but look at this. By 2025, that legacy business was just 17% of their sales. A massive 76% of their revenue now comes from these new GLP-1 therapies. They literally bet the entire company on this one class of drugs. And for a while there, it was the best bet in the world.
Okay, so what's the bull case? With a 40% drop, why would anyone want to invest? Well, believe it or not, even with the stock price collapse, a lot of very smart people think Novo Nordisk is a fantastic long-term investment. The argument is that the company has built this incredible kingdom with a wide protective moat around it. In fact, you can see here the top investment research firm Morningstar gives the company its highest possible rating for competitive advantage, a wide economic moat. So what does that mean in simple terms? It means they believe the company has these powerful, built-in advantages that make it extremely difficult for competitors to even come close. So what makes this moat so strong?
Well, the bulls point to some really powerful numbers. For starters, they still command a staggering 62% of the entire global GLP-1 market. That's dominance. And their innovation engine is still firing. The new pill version of Wegovy had what they're calling an exceptional launch. On top of all that, their obesity franchise is still growing at a blistering 31% pace. And when you look to the future, they have a pipeline of next-gen drugs, plus a huge new market that could open up when Medicare starts covering these things. So from this angle, the growth story seems far from over.
But here's the thing about a moat. It's only as good as the army that's attacking it. So now we have to turn to the bear case, which argues that Novo Nordisk's moat isn't just being tested, it's under a full-blown siege from every direction.
And wow, this slide right here tells you pretty much the entire bear case story. For 2026, Novo Nordisk is actually forecasting a sales decline, a drop of between 5 and 13%. At the exact same time, their biggest rival, Eli Lilly, is forecasting revenue growth of 25%. This isn't just competition, it's a massive shift. One company is shrinking and the other is just exploding.
So what's driving this complete reversal? Well, the bears will tell you it's a perfect storm of headwinds. First off, Eli Lilly's drugs, Zepbound and Mounjaro, are seen by a lot of people as even more effective, and they are just eating Novo's market share. At the same time, there's severe political pressure in the US forcing them to slash prices. And maybe the biggest blow, a key drug in their future pipeline just delivered some really disappointing trial results. That creates a huge hole in their long-term story. You add in patents starting to expire and shrinking profit margins, and yeah, the picture starts to look pretty grim. The bull case and the bear case are both pretty compelling, right? But what do the actual numbers tell us? Let's dive into the financial breakdown and see if this growth story is just on a temporary pause or if this is the start of a real long-term decline. Okay, now this table, this is critical. You can see the absolutely phenomenal growth from 2023 right through 2025. The numbers just keep going up. But then, Look at the forecast for 2026. For the first time in years, both revenue and operating income are projected to actually fall. This, right here, this is the hard data that sent the stock into a tailspin. The era of easy, explosive growth is, for now, officially over.
But hold on, it's not all bad news in the financials. And this is a really crucial point for the bull case. Even with sales expected to dip, this company remains an absolute cash-generating machine. And that gives them immense power. They can pour billions into R&D to find the next blockbuster. They can go out and buy smaller, innovative companies. They can keep rewarding shareholders. So yeah, even though the castle is under siege, the treasury is still full. The foundation is still solid. So this brings us to what might be the key question for any investor. After a 41% drop, is all the bad news already baked into the price? Or is there still more pain to come? Let's take a look at the valuation.
Okay, so if we look at the price-to-earnings ratio, which is just a simple way to measure how expensive a stock is, it looks cheaper than it's been in years, at about 13 times its 2025 earnings. But here's the catch. The forward PE, which uses the falling earnings predicted for 2026, is actually higher at 15. So what does that tell us? It means that even at today's battered price, the market is already betting on a recovery. The stock isn't priced for things to keep getting worse. It's priced for a comeback after 2026.
So where does that leave all of us? Let's wrap this up by focusing on what truly matters from here on out. If you're going to watch this story unfold, these are the key signals that will tell you whether the bulls or the bears are winning this fight.
So here's your watch list. Number 1, the Wegovy pill. Are the prescription numbers growing? This is their main counterattack. Number 2, any pipeline news. Do they have any positive updates on their other drugs in development, like cagrisema or amycretin? And number 3, how do they respond when their main rival, Eli Lilly, launches its own competing pill? The answers to these 3 questions will likely decide the stock's future.
So here's the bottom line. Novo Nordisk is a proven market leader that is staring down a period of some really significant short-term pain. The entire investment debate really just boils down to one question. Can they get through this storm and come out even stronger on the other side?
And you know, this quote from Morningstar just sums it up perfectly. This is not a stock for the faint of heart. It's for investors who have a long time horizon, who can handle the volatility, and who fundamentally believe that the market is wrong about Novo Nordisk's ability to innovate and to fight back. Ultimately, it all comes down to this. The moat is under attack. The walls have been breached, and the next few years are going to determine whether this is the end of an empire or the beginning of a historic comeback. For right now, that answer is still up in the air. And finally, just a quick and important reminder. This analysis is for informational purposes only. It is not financial or investment advice, and you should always do your own research and talk to a professional before making any investment decisions.